Welcome to Life Science with Yamini. In today's class, we will discuss about the topic plasma membrane, which is also called as fluid mosaic model. How does a cell knows what to allow inside and what to keep outside? How does signals reach the inside of the cell? The answer lies in a dynamic structure called plasma membrane. In simple but detailed language, earlier, scientists believed that the plasma membrane or cell membrane was rigid and protein layer. Later, biochemical and microscopic studies showed that lipid formed the main framework. In 1972, Singer and Nicholson proposed the fluid mosaic model. This model explains the membrane is made up of a lipid bilayer with protein embedded in it, and that these components can move within the layer. Even today, this model is accepted with some modern refinements. Definition: the plasma membrane or a cell membrane is a thin, flexible boundary that surrounded the cell. It separates this internal cell from the external environment and controls movement of substances. The major functions of this membrane is to protect the cell, maintain the cell shape, selectively regulate entry and exit of substances, helps in cell communication, supports cell regulations, anchors cytoskeleton involved in endocytosis and exocytosis. Fluid mosaic model. The membrane described as fluid means lipid and protein can move laterally. Mosaic means patchwork and embedded in lipid bilayer. Basic structure: the plasma membrane is mainly made up of a phospholipid bilayer, meaning two layers of phospholipid molecules. In this structure, we can clearly visualize that one head molecule and tails and different head molecules. These are hydrophilic head, which are water loving. There are one is extrinsic and intrinsic hydrophilic heads, and one is hydrophobic tail, which is water hating molecule. This is mainly of intermembrane space will be of 5 to 10 nanometers. Membrane asymmetry. It is important in cell signaling and programmed cell death. Two layers of the membrane are not identical. The outer layer and the inner layer contains different lipids and protein. Cell maintain this asymmetry using special enzymes called flipases, flopases, scramblases. Chemical composition. The plasma membrane is made up of components like phospholipids, proteins, carbohydrates, and cholesterol. And these are present in this approximate percentage values. This phospholipids main role is to maintain the basic bilayer structure. The protein main role is to transport and signaling. The carbohydrates is for recognition. The cholesterol is to stabilize and fluidity maintenance. Membrane protein. There are two major types. One is integral protein, which is intrinsic, and another one is peripheral, which is extrinsic protein. Integral protein, these are embedded in bilayer, often span entry membrane, function as channel, carrier, and receptor. Peripheral extrinsic proteins attached to the surface, not deeply embedded, supports and signaling roles. Now we can discuss it with diagram. Proteins in membrane. Peripheral protein, it is an outer surface, and integral protein, which is on cytoplasmic surface. This is embedded between the phospholipid bilayers, and peripheral protein is present outside the bilayer. Now let's discuss about carbohydrates in membrane. When carbohydrates are attached to protein, then it is called as glycoprotein. When it is attached to lipid, then it is called as glycolipid. Form glycolytic on outer surface. Function is for cell recognition, immune response, and cell adhesion. Cholesterol, it is present between phospholipid tails, controls membrane fluidity, prevents membrane from becoming too rigid or too fluid. Membrane properties. Selective permeability. Only certain molecules pass through the cell membrane. Some need proteins. So which can pass are small non-polar molecule O2 and CO2. Lipid soluble substance. These can pass through the membrane. Ions, glucose, and amino acid need protein molecules to pass through the membrane. Fluidity factors. Membrane fluidity depends upon temperature, fatty acid saturation, cholesterol content. More unsaturated tells more fluid. Transport across plasma membrane. There are two types of transportative systems. One is passive transport, another one is active transport. In passive transport, there is no need of energy, but for active transport, there is a need of energy. In passive transport, simple diffusion, facilitated diffusion, and osmosis takes place. In active transport, it pumps like atoms like Na plus and K plus ions pump is done and carrier proteins. In vascular transport, endocytosis and exocytosis will be done. Here we can see it clearly. Passive transport, simple diffusion and facilitated diffusion. Here the molecule moves from high concentration to the low concentration. In active transport, there will be need of ATP molecule, which is adenosine triphosphate molecule. Modern update lipid rafts. The original model suggested that the membrane is uniform, but modern research shows that membrane contains special microdomains called lipid rafts. The term rafts means a simple floating structure. Lipid rafts are rich in cholesterol and sphingolipids, more order, less fluid, important for signaling and receptor clustering. So today we describe the membrane as fluid but with organized domains. The fluid mosaic model describes the plasma membrane as a dynamic phospholipid bilayer with mobile proteins, structural asymmetry, and functional diversity. It's flexible, active, and highly regulated, not just a boundary wall. If you found this helpful, like, share, and subscribe for more advanced life science topic. Explained in simple language. See you in the next class. Thank you.